All right. Try to get this in exactly 5 minutes, if not a little less. But the Torah portion this week was, I think I'm saying it right, Lech Lecha. Did I say that right? Okay. So it goes, basically, go pick yourself up, right? Or in other words, pick yourself up and go. And what I really got from that, even from the New Testament, the portions, is that Father Abraham was fully persuaded in what God had promised him, that he was able to do that. And how kind of tie that up to our life is that he was that testimony on how we should have that hope in Yeshua, fully persuaded. I don't know if y'all heard me praying that, but that's all I could think about, was that being fully persuaded, and that what Yeshua promises, that if we trust in his name, that we will live again. So we don't have to worry about dying. You know, like, oh my gosh, I don't want to die. That almost looking forward to dying, because we are fully persuaded, or we should be. Or even sometimes I would even think to myself, am I fully persuaded? If I died right now, would I be in the presence of the Almighty? And if I doubt that anything, then I grab that and I just trust that name, that one word, Yeshua. I trust in what you have done. And what you have done has made a way for salvation. Man, that's really what I got from that. And just, if anyone's read Galatians, that was part of the portion too. And I remember when I was 4, came into like the knowledge of the Torah and stuff, I would hear like Galatians 4:21 says, ye who desire to be under the law, you know, and Paul's talking to them. And now looking at Abraham, and then what Paul wrote in Romans 4 about righteousness that is done without any work, like just simply believing. That's what I kind of wrapped up. I was like, okay, what does it mean under the law? If you think about what our Messiah taught, he says, forgive your enemy, love your enemy, right? And according to the law, if you look at the law, and if someone does something, you're like, well, I wish we were in the law. Sometimes, I don't know if anyone's thought, but like, man, I wish this would happen if this person did this. Like a judgment to them. But every time if you look at the Messiah, he's always saying mercy triumphs over judgment. Right? So when you look at Galatians 4:21, what does it mean under the law? This is my understanding, and I believe the Holy Spirit told me, is that under the law means judgment. It doesn't mean the righteousness of the law, like how we do things. That it means judgment. Ye who desire to be under the law, like if someone stole something from you, or someone did something to your family member, you want judgment, right? It says, don't desire to be under the law, because Christ has made us free. He's given us mercy. So we're supposed to be wanting mercy for others, praying for others to receive that same mercy and put the judgment on Yeshua, what he did on the cross. So under the law is right. We are under the law, but not in the way that I have learned in the past. Like we don't have to do the law. That we're not under the judgment of the law. You know, we're not going to, all of a sudden, everyone's going to stand up if someone did something and stone them, right? I don't think so. Not only that, we would desire a brother. Paul says, if a brother sins, go to him in humility and bring him back with humility, with mercy. So that's what it means not to be under the law. And that's what I read, and now I understand even more with this Torah portion, which me and my wife read Sunday, and then I read again this morning. And I've just thought about that are we fully persuaded in what Yeshua the Messiah has done on the cross? And a question to really answer that is that when you think of someone that's done something that horribly, horribly wrong to you, do you think of mercy? towards that person? Do you think of like, I want to forgive that person? Even if you don't have the power to do that. Are you praying? Are you seeking God to give you that power to forgive them? And that's really what I'm thinking of right now. It's just Abraham. He's just fully persuaded. And he's our testimony, a testimony to us to be fully persuaded, which Yeshua did, and what we are commanded to do to others, even our enemy. I don't know if that's 5 minutes, but I mean, I'm pretty sure that there's so much more I could talk about. I'll just leave with this, that, Lech Lecha, it says, pick yourself up and go, which Abraham did. But in reality, it's God that really picked him up. That he believed in God and his promise. And he was so persuaded in the promise of God that he was able to do the circumcision and to all his, as a seal, as a token of what God had promised him. So is circumcision that saves you? Absolutely not. But it was a sign of what he had promised him, saying, this is me showing that I'm fully devoted to you. So that's the same thing with, I would even consider with baptism or even circumcision now. Like, are we fully persuaded that the Messiah has made a way for us without any work that we do? And that not only that, we're able to have mercy no matter what someone might owe us or what we might deserve from them. Are we fully persuaded to do that as well? To give them mercy just as the Messiah has given us mercy? Because I don't know about you, but there's a lot of things I've read in the law that if I was to go back and want it to be under the law, I'd be dead. Like, I wouldn't be standing here. So I'm going to end with that. I mean, Yeshua is awesome. And I just pray that everyone's fully persuaded in his mercy and able to do the same to others and not desire for others to be under the judgment of the law, but desire them to have mercy just as you have received mercy, so that they can do the righteousness of the law by being fully persuaded in what Yeshua has done. Amen.
Instead of building more walls, let's build more bridges. Let's build more bridges.